we're going to look at doing some algebra with these equations. The first thing we want to do is go from standard form to general form, which basically just means multiplying out these parentheses. So this is x minus 2 times x minus 2 plus y plus 2 times y plus 2 equals 16. So multiplying this out, I would get x squared minus 4x plus 4 plus y squared plus 4y plus 4 equals 16. Now I'm going to put them in order with the squared terms first, then the unsquared terms, then the constant equal to 0. So I'm going to have x squared plus y squared minus 4x plus 4y. Then I have a plus 8 over here minus 16, so this is going to be minus 8 equals 0. So this is what's known as general form. Notice in our general form that we have two squared terms with the same coefficient. They both have a coefficient of 1. That indicates that we have a circle. We'll be looking at some of our other conic sections and seeing how those differ from the circle. Okay, so now let's do the other way around. Now we have something that is in general form and we want to put it in standard form, because looking at it in general form we can tell it's a circle, but it's not easy to tell the center or the radius from this form, so it's very helpful to put this into standard form by completing the square. So we're going to group our x squared terms. X squared plus 10x plus something plus y squared minus 4y plus something equals, and then I'm going to get 11 on the other side, and then I'm going to add two blanks because whatever I add on the left hand side I also have to add on the right hand side. Now my goal here is to make a perfect square. In other words, this is x and this is x, and the two numbers in here, the two constants, have to be the same because I want to be able to write this as x plus or minus something squared, and I want to write this as y plus or minus something squared equals r squared. Okay, that's my goal, is to get it in that form. So what I do is I want to get 10 for my middle term, so this has to be a 5x and another 5x. So this has to be plus 5 and plus 5. So you're going to take half of this coefficient and split it up between the two here. So I have 5x plus 5x equals 10x, and then 5 times 5 gives me 25. So I'm going to also have to add 25 to the other side. Then the second one is going to be a y and a y. So I want this to be negative, I keep hitting something with this, I want this to be negative 4y, so that means I need a negative 2 and a negative 2. So minus 2 minus 2, because this would give me negative 2y plus a negative 2y gives me negative 4y. Negative 2 times negative 2 is a positive 4. You're always going to be adding something positive because you're always squaring something. So negative 2 times negative 2, positive 4. So this then becomes x plus 5 squared plus y minus 2 squared equals 11 plus 25 plus 4. Well, 11 plus 25 is 36, and 36 plus 4 is 40. Okay, so I have a circle now that has a center at negative 5, positive 2, and its radius is equal to the square root of 40, and I don't have that's somewhere in between 6 and 7, so 6 point something, so you could figure that out to graph. Okay, next problem. I need to go to my next page here. Okay, so let's do, why don't you try this one and see if you can do it by yourself and then turn it on, and or maybe try both of them. The second one's a little trickier just because it has decimals in it, but they're basically the same process here. So I'm going to go ahead and work them and talk through them, but if you want to turn them off and try them yourself first, I think that would be a wise idea. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is group the x's. X squared minus 8x plus something plus y squared plus 12y plus something equals negative 3 plus something plus something. Okay, so making my parentheses for x, this would end up being x minus 4 and x minus 4, because I need a negative 4x and another negative 4x to give us my negative 8x. Negative 4 times negative 4, positive 16. Add it to the other side. Then my y terms, I'm going to need a y plus 6 and a y plus 6. 6 times 6 is 36. That gives me y squared plus 6y plus 6y, 12y. 6 times 6 is 36. Add the 36 to the other side. So now I have x minus 4 squared plus y plus 6 squared equals negative 3 plus 16 is 13. 13 plus 36 is 49. So I have a center here at 4, negative 6, and radius is 7. Okay, next one. Like I said, a little bit messier numbers. So I have x squared minus 3x plus blank plus y squared plus 5y plus blank equals negative 2.25 plus blank plus blank. So I need this to be half of 3, half of negative 3. So negative 1.5. Because negative 1.5 times x plus another negative 1.5 times x is negative 3x. Negative 1.5 times negative 1.5 is positive 2.25. You could also do 3 halves and 9 fourths. So you could do it that way too. Actually, that's easier to do in your head. Okay, so this would be y. Now, what's half of 5? 2.5, or you could say 5 halves. So let me just do one fraction and one decimal just to show you the difference. Okay, it's easy in my head to square 5 halves because 5 halves times 5 halves is just 25 fourths. That also happens to be 6.25. So I'm going to, on this side, I'm going to go ahead and write it as 6.25. No, actually I think I'll leave it as 25 fourths. So this is x minus 1.5 squared plus y plus 2.5 squared is equal to 25 fourths. Well, 25 fourths is the same as 5 halves squared. 5 halves squared, or 2.5 squared. The reason I'm doing that is that's going to be my radius then. So my center is going to be 1.5, negative 2.5, and the radius is 2.5. So you can use fractions or decimals, whichever works better. Doing it in my head, I actually prefer fractions, but you will have a calculator available on these kinds of problems. Okay, so that's completing the square for circles.